Hello. Today I want to talk to you about spirituality. Not religion, just to be clear, but spirituality. Because spirituality is really dear to me, and I know it may sound woo woo or too weird, but that's where I am at, and that's my path, and that's what I want to explore more and also want to share more with you. I don't want to talk about religion because that's everybody's personal choice, what they follow, what they agree with, and I don't want to dismiss that because it is important part of many cultures and nations and people. So that's all okay. I'm not saying it's not okay. It's all okay, but it's not what I want to talk about. So let's talk about spirituality and the woo woo stuff and how weird I am, and maybe you are too, and that's why you connect with me, right? Which is all good. So I want to share with you a few experiences I had in my life, and somewhere, well, I would say not somewhere, all of them were very powerful. And because I'm on my journey, like any other human being or spiritual being or whatever, um, then there are different stages and different interpretations and different learnings, and I keep exploring what things and events mean to me and around me. So when did it all start? I think I always was a bit sensitive to things and energy around me, and I could pick up on people's moods and all these things, but I never paid attention to it because obviously I thought that's normal, right? Like everybody can. But then when I was a little bit older, when I was around the age of 10, 11, 12, especially 12, because what happened is I grew up in a communist country where religion was not really allowed. I mean, we have beautiful churches, we celebrate Christmas and Easter and all these things, but it was not the right way to live, to go to church, and just it was not something which was allowed. But I was always interested because I wanted to know what is there about it, right? And so I wanted to be Christianized, and but because I was an older kid, I was not a baby, then I had to go through lessons and learn about the religion. And I enjoyed it for the first part, but then I started going a little bit deeper, and I started disconnecting quite a bit. So then I left that part of um, religion behind me because I didn't like the structure, and I didn't like the opinions, and I didn't like how it was forced on us to believe something which I couldn't believe. And so, you know, I still love the energy of the church, and I still like that. I feel there's something special about it. And what happened to me a couple of times when I was in my late teens and early 20s, I, always try to get to the midnight mass on Christmas Eve. And because it always had a very special atmosphere and very special, I would call it, spirit. But what happened to me a few times, like a couple years in a row, it was that I was standing there listening to the music and all that stuff, and suddenly I was fainting. And I had no idea why. I normally don't faint in my life. I mean, I fainted later, but it was medically related. It was nothing out of blue. And so I never really had an explanation what it was, but I was always curious. But a couple of years ago, I actually got a book to read from a channeling medium. And that medium had similar experiences when she was little, and so I could get some explanation of what was happening and why this was happening to me. But there were some signs of connecting with the spirit, but at the time I had no idea. So really it took me 15 or more years, maybe 20 actually, to get to understand what's happening. So it was one. The other one was when I was in my early 20s. I was recommended to go to spend a spiritual weekend and learn more about meditation, and I had no idea what it was. So it was my kind of first introduction to meditation when I was in my early 20s, and I was just mesmerized. I could not believe how much I learned about myself and how much I was able to tap into my inner wisdom and go back in my life and get answers and kind of resolutions, I would call it, for things I was not aware of. And it really helped me clarify so many things. And I was able to connect even with my relatives energetically, and I was able to have conversations, very difficult conversations, say with my mom and others about things, it would be really hard to talk about if there was no preparation in of this kind in advance. So that was one experience for the weekend, which obviously had some other effects later in my life. And I also, which was really really surprising, is that I also met somebody in my meditation who performed a specific, I would say, specific meaning in my life. And I met that person later, and the person exactly served that purpose, like I learned in that meditation on that weekend. And I don't want to talk about time frame, but this one was kind of several months after that, or maybe even years, actually even years after the meditation weekend. So I realized there's so much inside of us. If we can connect, we can learn so much. But it kind of solved its problem. I went through things and it was all good. And I also forgot to mention, because this week is going to be all about spirituality and things which happen within us and what we can do for ourselves to connect the mind and the body and the spirit. And I think another episode which was an experience throughout the whole year was that I suffered from eczema since I was a kid, since I was 3 years old. And when I was 14, I just said enough is enough. I can't deal with this. It's so annoying. It's so disturbing. I was playing volleyball. I had really bad hands. I was taping every single finger on some days just not to get them damaged while I was playing volleyball and all these things. So it was really 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 bad. And one day my stepfather actually connected with somebody who he knew, and they knew a naturopath or a healer or a combo actually. And I went there, and what happened, it was just really a super deep experience for me, because I went there, I met this gentleman who said he's gonna help me, and he actually he said, I'm not gonna charge you anything at all. And he charged every other person just like regular customer, and for some reason he just decided that he's not gonna charge me anything. I will just pay for the herbal teas he's giving me to heal if I follow the instructions. And so I did, and it was a whole 1 year long process with strict diet, herbal teas, and his healing powers and all these things. And I never came across anything like it at the time, and it was my very first experience. And my hands and my whole body was really bad. It was going downhill. It was just really nasty, and I couldn't even go to school for a week or two because I couldn't even eat with my hands. I couldn't even hold fork, like how bad everything was. And the healer told me, it's going, all the bad stuff is coming out of your body, and you need to clean and cleanse, and it's gonna be okay. And I know that I had the support of my family to go through this, but nobody really could believe that I could heal. And I really believed that I could heal. I really believed that this is what I'm doing is the right thing to do, and I'm gonna do anything it takes to get through this. And it was truly like I had dreams that I was healing, and I woke up and my skin was beautiful and I had no issues. And what happened is that dream kept coming back, and I kept dreaming about me being healed. And yes, it did take several months, but I did heal. And that was my first experience when I could prove to myself that if I can do something, if I can think about it, I can do it, and it can happen if I believe, right? And we have a saying in Czech that you need to trust that and believe in something in order, to that to materialize for you. So this one was an example where I said, truly, nobody else around me believed that I'm doing the right thing. No, the doctors thought I was crazy because this is something, how can you get yourself in such a bad condition? I said, no, I am cleaning, I am healing, I will be fine, right? And it was really crazy, and it was long term, but it truly worked. So, and I know when he was doing some energy work on me, I could feel the energy, I could feel the heat, like I could feel all these things, but again, I could not explain it to my family or other people around me. And interestingly enough, my brother went there when he was, because he was very small. He was, I believe, 2 or 3 years old at the time, and he had bad eczema too. And we brought him to the healer, and he said, I can't heal him. And so he went to the bad stage, and then he couldn't get farther. So then the treatment stopped, and he unfortunately to today's date he's struggling with eczema, and he hasn't found his path to healing. So that was like very profound experience. And so I always knew there was something about the spirituality and about energies and about the mind and body connections. And when I was 25 and had some serious decisions to make, I found a fortune teller, or card reader, whatever you want to call it, or channeling medium. And everything the person said was dead on, and I couldn't believe it either. And even he was explaining to me my dreams, because I asked, why do I have this recurring dream? Why is this happening to me? And then I realized, well, you have to learn the lesson, and if you didn't learn the lesson, then the dream's not going to go away. And so I realized that, and once I learned the lesson and I understood it, the dream went away. And sometimes it keeps coming back, but in certain specific situations, and now I can work with it and follow kind of the inner guidance. Anyways, then I was on my path, and I found the direction in terms of, life was going well. I knew what I wanted, went my direction, worked hard, always had plans, achieved plans, moved on, etc. Until I was in my late 30s and had my daughter. And then there was yet another time for a change, because it looked like, now looking back, it looked like, okay, you've achieved what you set yourself up for, and now it's time for a change in different direction, different lessons to learn. But again, I was lost, right? I didn't know what to do, and I started exploring myself, and my intuition told me, first thing you need to do is you should go back and learn to meditate. Because my own experience with meditation was in my early 20s, and this is 15 years later. And I said, well, it showed me such a power then, I think I need to go back and explore that. So I did, and it brought me to the path of self-discovery, to a path to coaching, to a path to helping others like you who are watching right now. And I just found this is so fascinating that it's been with me and around me all my life. It's just I never really paid that close attention to it. And I keep developing, I keep learning, because it's just a never-ending experience. And actually today I planned to record this video for you guys, and I got my new medicine cards. And so I was exploring what they are, and I was reading and doing all that stuff. And I got a little bit delayed because I was just fascinated how true the cards are, right? And again, it's the spirit, it's the connection, is all the stuff. So, and it's also telling me, yes, I'm on my path, I'm on my journey, I'm constantly learning, and I will never stop learning. Because as you know, if you stop learning, you die, really. Like all the flowers, all the trees, right? If you don't grow, you die. There's no stagnation in the nature. Then you either grow or you're done, and you develop into something else. and everything is energy. So, the tree's got the energy to grow. Once the tree is dead, we burn the wood and we have the heat, we transform the energy, and it looks very differently. So all this energy, and I do believe that, and all the energy we are having around us and within us, right, it all impacts our lives. So we'll talk about I think more about spirituality if you're interested, and I really love exploring this topic, and I'm curious what you think and what your experiences were. And I would say my most profound spiritual experience was last year when my dearest grandma transitioned to another world, and I could sense the energies around her and around me, and she could feel my energy as well, and the connection which we had at that time, it was just, I can't describe with words, and it still is in me. And I'll probably record a video about that experience as a separate video, because it was just so beautiful and so, I would say, supernatural, right? It was just something that is really hard to describe, but it just keeps confirming that the energy and the spirit is around us, and we should learn to explore that, trust it, and use it to our advantage, and be better and more experienced human beings. So I would suggest that you also explore your intuition, and I use intuition in my coaching as well. And one of the reasons why I was driven to the coaching certification I have is because part of it is really using intuition, and I really wanted to explore how to do that and how to help others to use their intuition and my intuition to awaken something inside of them and bring something to the surface that they can't do on their own. So just a glimpse into one of my coaching techniques is using intuition and helping others to tap into their intuition, because we all have it. It's just a matter of, can we access it and can we work with it? So that's all for now, and I'm looking forward to your comments, and let me know what your experiences are. And watch for the post during this week as little reminders and conversation topics. So have a wonderful week.